Next on Into the Day Beer Review, we're going to be looking at Goose Island Bourbon County brand Biscotti Stout. This is a stout aged in bourbon barrels with cocoa nibs, toasted almonds, anise seeds, and natural flavor. This is 2022 vintage, and it's coming in at 14.3% ABV. Let's go check it out. Hi, buddy, it's Rich, and welcome to Into the Day Beer Review. And today, we're going to go back and look at one of the beers I really didn't like from 2022. But being the devout Bourbon County fan that I was at that point, I bought a couple of extras of these. Now, I remember initially loving the nose on this because it was very brownie oriented and everything like that, but not loving the fact that it was also very heavy on licorice. So, which I should have seen coming because there's anise seeds on the label. Buyer's remorse, yes. Was I uninformed? No, I just didn't notice it. So let's take a look at this. So this is 2022, which I have to say, 2022 I think was one of the better years of Bourbon County. I've now had 4 of the, micro bottles that, what do you call it? Goose Island put out earlier this year. And I still don't like the little bottles. As far as I'm concerned, make the technology smaller, not the beer bottles. But anyway, so this was a good year, 2022. And while this year, 2026, or what is it, 2025? Yeah, what are these little bottles? I think they're 2025. Yeah, it's 2025. It was okay. I just didn't think it was great. It also wasn't terrible like 2024. So, but I do remember the base stout was very good in 2022. But I also remember that there was an overwhelming licorice taste here, which is that anise seed. So this says that it is stout aged in bourbon barrels with cocoa nibs, toasted almonds, anise seed, and natural flavors. And it also says that the best drink by date here is August 19 of 2024. But, Bourbon counties, when stored right, do tend to last a while. Let's crack this open. Carbonation is still good. It pours just a jet black, nice thick viscous liquid there. Let's give the nose a try. This is just wonderful. I remember how much this nose really pissed me off when I actually tried the beer itself because it was such a heavy licorice hit. So a lot of chocolate, some of the char from the barrel. Definitely you get the barrel in this one. But it does smell like a chocolate brownie that's been doused in a little bit of bourbon. So, yeah, I did not have a problem with the nose on this at all. I thought the nose was wonderful. But I'll tell you this, now that I am properly informed or have informed myself about the anise seeds, I think I'm getting that. Yeah, I do. All right, let's see what it tastes like. It's very funny. Um, it's much better than I expected being, which is crazy. Um, the licorice taste has dropped off significantly. It's still there, but it's on the very back end of the tongue. So you're not being overwhelmed by that black licorice taste. And I want to make it clear, it's that black licorice flavor that I don't like, the anise, like that sambuca flavor. And that has really dissipated quite nicely. So it's not like you're getting hit with that. It's now what I was hoping it would be, which was sort of that chocolate fudgy brownie. I'm getting just a hint of that sort of almond flavor on the back end of this. I have to tell you, this is almost, like a revelation because I had some hardcore hatred for this beer. And I've got to tell you, now it's not bad. After a couple years in the bottle, and you know, funny enough, I actually do have another one of these in my cellared boxes, and now I'm sort of glad. I was pissed that I had them. Okay, that time I got a little bit more of a hint of that anise, but you know, that black licorice taste is not the only thing here. So it's not overwhelming your taste buds. In fact, it's just on the bottom end of that chocolate. So, you know, for those of you who like this, when it tasted very much with that black licorice flavor, you're probably going to be a little disappointed because that flavor has definitely fallen off. That being said, it's still there. And for someone like me who does not like black licorice in any way, it's still slightly off-putting. But the chocolate notes, the barrel notes have now sort of pushed forward, and it's a much more enjoyable sort of decadent beer than what I remember when I tried this. Because, you know, I remember cracking this open, having it, and just being annoyed because the nose was so good. And quite frankly, the flavor was not that great for my particular, you know, palate. I know a lot of people loved it. One person I know, every one of these that I find, they buy from me, or if I see them, I just pick them up and get them, you know, whenever I see them. Um, and that being said, like that was his favorite that year. I think this one has actually aged very well, and you get this really nice flavor from it. You know, a good chocolatey flavor with just a hint of that black licorice. So if you like the black licorice flavor, it's still here. It's just not whacking you over the head like the original, you know, release was in 2022. In fact, I think out of all of the 2022s, this was the only one that I really didn't care for. And now, listen, is it my favorite one? Absolutely not. Is it good? It really is. In fact, I have to say, I think it's better than it was when it came out. And, you know, would I pick another one up? I have to tell you the truth, probably not. For my taste, you know, for my palate and my liking, I probably wouldn't buy another one of these. I still have two, I think, or one cellared at the moment. Um, if you see it and, you know, and you haven't tried it, it's definitely worth giving a try. That's number one. And number two, it's actually, I think by dialing that anise back, it's become a more enjoyable sort of chocolate forward Bourbon County. Yeah, I think it's much more enjoyable now than it was. Now, I will say this, that anise flavor is definitely getting to be a little bit more cumulative. So I'm getting more of it and more of it as I drink that. And that's not going away, but the chocolate and everything else is. So again, my favorite Bourbon County, no. Um, I remember blasting this when it first came out. Is it as bad as it was then? No. And the thing is, I don't know if the fundamental changes that the beer has mellowed or maybe my taste buds have opened up a little bit more to new stuff. Is it worth picking up? If you like that whole anise biscotti type of flavor, then yeah, check it out. If you're not a black licorice person, this is probably one you want to avoid. The other thing is that this is expensive. So when I purchased it on Long Island, where I live, it was 25 bucks. I bought a backup of this when I was upstate. I think in like Liberty, New York. And in Liberty, New York, it was $34.99. So this is a pricey beer. And, you know, again, for me and my palate, am I getting the cost benefit, you know, cost benefit of it? No, I don't think it's worth the 25 bucks, let alone the 35. But that's my particular taste palette. Is it a well-crafted beer? Yes, it really is. There's good flavor here. There's good barrel here. You're getting all of that it's promised. And, you know, here we are. You know, it says best used by August of 24. This is January, mid to end of January of 26, and it has held up quite nicely in the bottle. So I think if you see one out there and this is the type of flavor you enjoy, definitely check it out. If you are not a black licorice fan, it's probably still got a little more than you would like. But again, would I share this with friends? Probably. Would I go out and buy it for myself? Probably not. I'll tell you something else. For 14.3, it's not bad. I'm not getting a tremendous burn out of this. It's not just like blowing me away as far as that goes. There's no, it tastes finished, which is what I like. And I actually think this beer is at least now much more palatable than it was when it came out to me. So anyway, this was Bourbon County brand Biscotti Stout. This was my least favorite of the 2022 vintage, and I have to tell you, I'm going to sit back tonight. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this because that anise flavor has sort of dropped off, and because of that, I think it's really, really a solid beer. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the review. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time on Good Day Beer. Cheers.